The Giannis trade didn't happen, but we actually recorded a podcast for once. Let's get into foul trouble.
Let's go. Happy trade deadline, James. It's so good to be back. How are you doing, my friend?
I've had a very, very chaotic week, Patrick. My girlfriend and I are fostering a dog while it looks for a new home or potentially rehomes with us. And every day I learn more about this dog not being trained or potty trained whatsoever. So it's been a little bit of a challenging week, but we're powering through.
What kind of dog are we talking?
It is a Frenchie. It is a little Frenchie puppy. She's probably about a year old, the vet said.
Okay.
Found her.
Wow.
They found the. I didn't find her. Found on the streets by a family friend, and we offered to take her in for a little bit. But we'll see. It's starting to test my patience.
Yeah, that for those of you that don't know, James is already the father of a proud Frenchie named Cookie. Longtime James and Foul Trouble fans will know. But we just simply have no time to talk about dogs anymore because what I think both of us thought was going to be a very slow and kind of boring trade deadline ended up being low-key kind of an insane trade deadline.
Can you say something weird about today's trade deadline? I feel like a lot of or big trades happened this week, like Anthony Davis to the Wizards, Jaren Jackson to the Jazz. It feels like there were a lot of big trades, but Patrick, I don't know if you feel the same way. Kind of just gut feeling. Not a lot of trades that are going to affect this season in particular.
Oh, 100%.
Like
100%.
huge moves, but nothing that I feel like is really making me feel different about who the title contenders are, the flaws of the top teams. Like, it's kind of a weird trade where big things happen, but at the same time, it's going to make no impact, I feel like.
I mean, of the All-Stars or All-Star caliber players that were traded, is James Harden the only player that's like actually going to play for the rest of the season? Maybe Darius Garland?
Yeah, I guess. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
Do you want to start
so
there? I feel like that was the weird trade.
yeah, I feel like that kind of kicked off like the insanity. So, it was a really cut and dry trade that was leaked like I want to say Monday morning, and then it ended up, or maybe Sunday, and then it ended up happening Monday or happening Tuesday, but really cut and dry. Darius Garland going from the Cavs to LA for James Harden. Darius Garland, 26-year-old, two-time All-Star point guard for, obviously, James Harden, 36-year-old, first ballot Hall of Famer who, I mean, is having a good season, but what did you make of this? I think this was, I don't know, it took me really off guard when I first saw that this was probably going to happen.
Yeah, I don't love it for the Cavs, to be honest. And I know the kind of thing with Garland is he's constantly hurt, so maybe they're just more aware of his medicals and they're like, we don't know about it. I just feel like my issue with Harden is I've just never loved Harden as the off the ball player. And if I'm the Cavs, I just want a roster that really maximizes Donovan Mitchell's on the ball, possessions the most, because I just feel like that's their path. Like if people who listen to this podcast know how high I am on Donovan Mitchell. So I don't know. I mean, I also just feel like Donovan Mitchell, because he's a little bit shorter, is not. And I think this was kind of a weird structural issue with him and Garland. Is just they're both a little shorter, so they're not the greatest at shooting over closeouts at times. But I don't know. I guess maybe it makes Cleveland a little bit better in the short term. I do think Harden, with his size, even though I don't love his off the ball game, does give them a little bit more heft on the perimeter. That you can only do so much when you're Garland's smaller stature. But I feel like Garland's medicals and or behind the scenes things must have been pretty rough for this trade to take place.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that I thought when I saw this is I was like, oh, okay, like Donovan Mitchell is getting a little impatient, and I think he has one more season and then a player option left on his. So it is that classic like pre-agency time for Donovan Mitchell where he can really start throwing around like his leverage within a franchise. So I thought that was interesting. We've never really seen Donovan Mitchell like throw around his weight like that. But in terms of like Darius Garland for James Harden, they're very similar players when you look at it like production wise, except I think there's probably never been a time in Darius Garland's life, including right now, where he's been like in a vacuum a better player than James Harden. But then you get into all like the James Harden of it all, and like for James Harden, one of the most notorious playoff choke artists, to go to this version of the Cleveland Cavaliers, who, let's be honest, like probably the most notorious Eastern Conference choke squad of the 2020s. I think that's a really interesting wrinkle. But the part that makes me optimistic is I do think James Harden still has that a little bit of an edge, and this isn't to take anything away from Darius Garland, but he's still that like point guard maestro, has that like extra level of, I don't know, mesh and connection with big men. We saw it with him and Zubac, and I think like the best version of this is where he's able to bring something out of the Cavs big men offensively that we haven't been able to see at a high level.
Yeah, I think he can squeeze more juice out of the Evan Mobley and especially Jared Allen on the pick and roll. I think, they had that weird thing with the Cavs where it felt like the Mobley Garland minutes were good and the Allen Mitchell minutes were good. And it was like, why did the bigs pair better with certain guards? But, I'm thinking, Patrick, like, one, I feel like you owe the Cavs an apology right now for calling them the biggest playoff choke squad of the Eastern Conference when the Ben Simmons, Embiid, 2020 Sixers, 2021 one-seed Sixers who lost to the Hawks exist.
That is
healthy compared to these Cavs who have been injured through these playoffs. So you owe the Cavs an apology here.
Okay, I will listen to that.
Also, you know what? I'm going to throw in a team that I don't think we associate with choking, but truly, going back to when they first got Julius Randle, I think the Knicks have probably lost more Eastern Conference series in the first and second round that they were favored to win than any other franchise during this time.
The Knicks the Hawks that they were supposed to win?
They were supposed to beat the Hawks that first year. They were supposed to beat the Pacers last year.
But you know what? The New York Knicks have won a lot of series that they were not supposed to win as well, which we have not seen out of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
So I feel like the takeaway here is if you're a favorite in the East, be afraid.
Yeah, no, it's probably wraps, unless I guess you're the Boston Celtics.
And even then, I mean, they lost a ton of series they were supposed to win. All right, so I guess the takeaway here is don't listen to the podcast. Just bet on underdogs next time you go to Vegas. But where was I? Oh, yeah. I don't know. Do you feel like this changes the like calculus for the Cavs? I just don't think this is going to fix the kind of quote-unquote stink they had. And I feel like them trading DeAndre Hunter was them kind of admitting it never really worked out there. And I feel like they still kind of have this hole sort of at the small forward position, but I don't know if it's the most pressing hole of all time, given that they have so much defensive interior strength and they have so much offensive, perimeter strength, that I feel like it's like, every team's not going to have 5 all-stars, so it's okay if you just play Max Strus at the 5, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's
the 3, sorry.
The other interesting part of the Cavaliers deadline that we haven't touched on is them ejecting from the DeAndre Hunter situation for more guard wing depth in Keon Ellis and Dennis Schroeder, as well as, I mean, the big story for the Cavs that has happened since we've been gone is the Jalen Tyson like renaissance and emergence. And I think, I mean, like we've kind of been dancing around this whole time, if they can stay healthy, if they can, have better just guard depth throughout the whole playoffs, like I think we both agree that the sky is still the limit, especially in this Eastern Conference for this Cavs roster. Like there's no team that I think the Cavs could not beat, like in any situation in the East.
You know what is interesting is the Schroeder trade, because Schroeder's had some really high-level moments defensively, is if they play a 3-guard lineup with Harden at the 3 and let Schroeder kind of just be their, Brunson guy or whoever if they play the Knicks, or their LaMelo guy when they have to play the Hornets, maybe. But
Yeah, exactly. And then I mean, we've seen so many teams really like fly in two different ways this season. One, obviously two big lineups have been like all the rage. I think they were kind of at the forefront of that trend. And then the other side of it, we've seen so many teams really excel with three guard lineups once again. So it's going to be interesting to see what buttons Kenny Atkinson can push there.
I will say the Cavs are kind of like the Western Conference Lakers this year in terms of if you just didn't look at the standings and all you went by was the way people are talking about the team, you'd think they're like the 10 seed. The Cavs are 2.5 games back from being the 2 seed.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm definitely not worried. And Donovan Mitchell is Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah,
that
Donovan
dude
Mitchell
is really, really good.
Awesome.
Um,
Okay, what trade do you want to hit next?
I mean, the funny thing about I feel like this whole week, in a way that like trade deadlines weren't when we were growing up, was it almost felt, and this is not meant to be like a conspiracy theorist, but it felt scheduled the way these trades were rolling in, because I felt like there was just enough time to really digest each trade as they came out. And for me, the next like wow trade was the Jaren Jackson Jr. to the Jazz trade. And it was the Memphis Grizzlies decided to get out of the Jaren Jackson Jr. business by trading Jaren Jackson Jr., John Conchar, Jock Landale, and Vince Williams to the Utah Jazz for Kyle Anderson, their first-round pick last year, Walter Clayton Jr., Taylor Hendricks, their first-round pick, I want to say 2 years ago, George Niang, a 2027 first-round draft pick, another 2027 first-round draft pick, a 2031 first-round draft pick, and a rather large trade exception. A shocking deal, I would say. All the intel that we heard was that Jaren Jackson Jr. was the player that the Grizzlies were building around. Jaren Jackson Jr. just signed a max extension this last offseason. What did you make of that deal?
I don't understand this for Utah at all. Does this mean they're rebuilding around Ja? Did you see I know you just said it. They traded Vince Williams Jr., who was the guy arguing with Ja in the Zapruder film that came out 2-3 weeks ago. So maybe this is a sign they're recommitting to Ja. No, but I don't like this for Utah. We texted about this a little bit, but I'm a little concerned about, like, you're going to put Ace, Walker Kessler, Markkanen, and Jaren together, and that just doesn't seem right unless the plan is to move off of one of Ace or Markkanen to me, because I feel like if you're going to roll out Keontae George with these guys, the ball movement is going to be horrific, and I don't know if maximizing Keontae George and turning him into his own facsimile of like a Harden, heliocentric player is a good maximal use of all these other guys. So I don't know. I don't functionally like the way that team looks. So I think there's going to be a trade. I think Ace or Lowry or both are going to get moved is my assumption.
I mean, I think when you look at the front court specifically, completely forgetting who they've got in the like 1-2 position, like you can talk yourself into it. I definitely can, because what does Jaren need to really like flourish from what we've seen? He needs a really big-bodied giant center who's a really great rebounder. That is Walker Kessler. Walker Kessler has shown some like idea of being a center that can shoot, which would work really well around Jaren Jackson Jr. Lauri Markkanen, we saw him in Cleveland. He worked at the 3 next to those two bigs there. Obviously, it was very early in the Evan Mobley life cycle, but we have at least some, track record of that working. And to your point, both of these guys in Lauri Markkanen and Jaren Jackson Jr.'s, they're not great rebounders. They're not great passers. So the question is, I agree with you. I don't see where Ace Bailey fits in this, equation. And it makes me wonder, like, is next off season going to be like their Danny Ainge Boston Celtics 2007 off season, where it's like we're cashing in on these young chips that, like, I think there was a lot of question marks going into the draft whether the Jazz loved their option with Ace Bailey, or if they were taking him as just like the clear value play asset. Keontae George has been absolutely incredible this season, but it's kind of come out of nowhere. He's been a completely different player. I think you can still make him work with, Larry and Jaren or whatever piece you want to keep there, but it definitely feels like a painting that is halfway done.
So, Patrick, I don't want to do our now weekly, whenever we do record, dunking on Adam Silver, but 8 hours ago, a Reddit user by the name of Classic Reference 92 posts, in a close game between the Jazz and Hawks, Lauri Markkanen gets subbed off with 17 minutes left on the game and never got back onto the court. Jazz end up losing by 2 points. Lauri Markkanen was not injured or in foul trouble. The Jazz are openly tanking again.
Yes,
and
they are.
There's no punishment for it. Like, this is blatant.
And not only that, but we have had literature in the NBA rulebook that specifically all-star players cannot sit out or tank for those reasons, or there will be legislation from the league of which we have never seen.
And the Jazz literally had to promise they weren't going to do this again this summer. I don't know if anyone remembers that. This is bad, but I guess we had a discussion last time that I think was really interesting about Lauri Markkanen has never played in a playoff game, and the one thing we always go back to with him is like the passing. And I do feel like in really, really high level basketball games, like if you can't pass, if you can't make the good swing pass, like that will get exposed by smart defenses, and they'll learn how to funnel the ball to you and like expose you. And I don't know. Do you think Ainge is just like, hey man, he's gonna be like 31 by the time this guy finally makes the playoffs? Do we just move off him? Like, do you think Lowry's the one who gets moved? Who like between Lowry and Ace, who do you think is the one that you're like, this guy's gonna get moved?
I mean,
Lowry has a big salary to make a star trade happen.
That's the thing.
Star, yeah.
We're in 2026 now, and even let's say that this team is really, really good next season. I don't know what that means. I think really, really good in the Western Conference of this roster. What does it mean? 5 seed, 6 seed? I don't think they're not gonna surpass the Spurs. They're not gonna surpass the Thunder. I don't know what's gonna happen with the Lakers, but I think it's not a guarantee that they surpass the Lakers for next season. The Rockets are not going anywhere, so it's not a given that they're going to be better. And then in 2027, you have 2 over $40 million a year contracts in Jaren Jackson Jr. and Lauri Markkanen on your books with, in the best version of this, Keontae George ready to get paid and Ace Bailey 2 years away from getting paid down the line. I say all that to say, it does seem like the writing is on the wall for like cashing in a Lauri Markkanen somewhere. But it depends. It's hard. It's really hard to say, because if it doesn't work, then you just kind of gotta blow it up really quickly. There's not, because of how much Jaren and Lauri already make, there's not time to like have the wheels spin on this.
Yeah, and so Lowry's averaging 7 boards a game, so I don't think Lowry's a bad rebounder. I guess we shouldn't mischaracterize him as that, but he's not, given his height at like near like 7 foot 6'10". I don't know if Jaren's rebounding is a little suspect and his rebounding is a little suspect, and Ace is not quite the catch and shoot. I don't know. I just don't really understand. But I guess I'm a little hesitant to prejudge Utah too much because to me this just feels like maybe they like Jaren more than Lowry because of defense, and they like the idea of that position being more of an off the ball type of player. And I think it's smart. I mean, Lowry to me is just you can't really run the offense through Lowry in a high level situation. I know Lowry's been awesome in the regular season and he hasn't proven that he can't do it. I just wouldn't bet on him being the guy I want to go to war with in round 2 against Shea or against Jokic, which is in the West, that's the reality of life.
I mean, I want to see it. I want to see it. Like I've been pretty pessimistic on this deal, but I think it's a pretty reasonable price that they paid. They're not giving up any of their own picks. They're going to have their first in this next draft, in this next super draft. So you could add a really big talent. And then I think the model here is kind of like a Bizarro World Rockets where everybody actually shoots and maybe everybody's just so big. You've got Ace Bailey at the 2 in this situation that maybe individually in their idealized positions they're not great rebounders, but since everybody is just a freaking tree on this squad, the rebounding is great. They become a dominant offensive rebounding team against any normal squad, and then they have at minimum 4 guys went in nut crunching time that can just go out and get their own shot whenever they need. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I'm worried about swing passing and boring stuff like that with this team. I have to see this. Because I think I really don't want to dunk on Lowry. Lowry's an amazing player. But Patrick, per 36, oh man. Per 36, Lauri Markkanen is a worse assist guy than Ace Bailey.
Yeah, that's rough.
That's
rough.
Bad.
That's bad.
I just feel like in the regular season when teams just run their generic defense, you can have this guy who's out there scoring 27 and never passing the ball, but when your per 36 assists are lower than the guy in the draft who we were like, does he even know how to properly throw a chest pass? That's a little concerning.
That's why you need all the trees down there to get the offensive rebound, because then when you're scattering, I mean, the other thing about this team is where do you hide a small defender on this team? If you're going up against the Lakers, for instance, who's Austin Reeves guarding on this team?
No, the Keontae cooked the Lakers the last one of the games I watched. But I do feel like maybe Keontae, if you are a team, I mean, now we're getting to hypothetical playoffs, which Utah might never see, but I don't know if you need size for Keontae as much as you need shiftiness and quickness to guard a guy like that.
Yeah. But I don't know. Interesting
trade.
Trade.
What do you think about this from Memphis's perspective? I mean, they're just tanking at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's admirable that they realized there's no way you can put back together the pieces on this core. And I think they learned from the Jaw situation of they traded Jaren at his peak value, which, I mean, you can quibble about when exactly his peak value was, but I think this is pretty close to what Jaren Jackson's peak value should be. And so now it doesn't matter so much what you get out of a Jaw trade if you end up trading him, which you got to presume is probably going to happen in the offseason when trades are a little bit more flexible and there's going to be a couple more desperate teams out there. But I like it for the Grizzlies. They were not, they're very far from being a second round playoff team in the West.
What if the Grizzlies just keep Ja? He's got 2 more years on his deal and they just tank it out for 2 years and all of a sudden they reemerge 28-29 as a, new team. I think that's another pathway I could see here.
Yeah, I agree. And you can also, you can try a different build around Ja. The last build was it wasn't a perfect build. There was a lot of trouble once you got into the playoffs with that Jaren Jackson jaw core, and I think you let Cedric Coward, grow into himself a little bit, make it more of like a dynamic wing situation with Jaw, where the floor is a little bit more spread. I know you've still got Zach Edey in the fold, so that kind of gets in the way of that, but he's shown flashes of being able to stretch the floor a little bit. So, who knows what happens? He's such like an icon in that city as well. It kind of makes me happy to see that maybe he has a little bit of time to, fix his relationships there.
Now, the weird thing, and I know Steven Adams is not he is the single common link, but I'm just thinking back to like how effective Russell Westbrook, John Morant, and now Amin Thompson are when Steven Adams is on the floor, and I wish there was other bigs of that kind of super offensive rebounding ilk. Like, we've never seen Mitchell Robinson play with one of these uber athletic rim attacking guards, but it's like weirdly counterintuitive that it seems like these around the basket, paint clogging bigs who can really offensive rebound really are really synergistic with these super athletic point guards. And I do wonder, obviously Edey is massive, but he's not quite as good an offensive rebounder as Steven Adams or Mitchell Robinson. I am wondering, if you're Memphis, do you not just kind of go back to what worked and then try to fill out the shooting around it and kind of go for like a Phoenix Suns, like, hey, our guard can do this. When you pair him with this type of big in shooting, we have a high floor. I don't know. I think that's maybe one way they could try to do it. Maybe if they made an aggressive push for like Mitchell Robinson this offseason, I think could be great for the Grizzlies. But to try to rehabilitate Jaw's value and squeeze more juice out of the current core before they reset into the next era. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, those missed threes from Russell Westbrook and John Morant, they got to go somewhere, man. And it goes straight into Steven Adams' hands.
Yeah, maybe it's just Steven Adams is good, and for some reason everyone wrote him off like 8 years ago when it was like, hey, mate, I'm still good.
I mean, he just looked like it's not an original thought that I'm gonna say, but it's crazy that Steven Adams is as young as he is.
Okay, can we talk about the trade that I honestly feel like is going to be so wild and I think next season, so many people are going to be like, wait a second, Anthony Davis is a Wizard? When did that happen? Did he sign with them? Was he a free agent? How did this happen? I honestly feel like this one just skated by again because it feels like the Wizards are in this really unique spot where they've traded for both Trae Young and Anthony Davis, and somehow they're going to suck this year, and the next year they probably are going to be a pretty decent team.
Yes, dude. I am obsessed with this trade. I think it speaks so much to the NBA right now and how it's changed because of the CBA. I'm trying to pull up the exact trade right now because I don't want to get it entirely wrong. But, geez. Come on, Twitter.
All right, well, I've got... The Wizards are receiving from the Mavericks Anthony Davis, Jaden Hardy, D'Angelo Russell, Dante Exum, and the Mavericks are receiving Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, Malachi Branham, Marvin Bagley III, a 2026 first-round pick from OKC, a 2030 first-round pick from Golden State, top 20 protected, and 3 second-round picks.
So they basically got Anthony Davis for the corpse of Chris Middleton and like a bunch of glorified second round picks and players that just don't play.
Yeah, and I will say that Golden State pick seems juicy, but top 20 protected, not knowing how it conveys if Golden State gets that top 20, if it even conveys, is a little, I guess they really didn't give up a premium pick here. They kind of just gave up all the picks they've acquired over the years that did not end up being any good, and they're like, okay, this is what we're using for.
It's been really impressive to see what I think Michael Winger is their GM in Washington, and how he's been able to kind of continue to roll like these garbage snowballs of Bradley Beal and these other big contracts down the hill to equate into these, lottery tickets on these all-star players like Anthony Davis and Trae Young to, equate to like, well, I mean, they're a long way off from like being a contender. They've got a lot to prove before we can say anything like that. But I mean, the lineup itself, it makes a lot of sense. They seem like a deep team now. And the thing that I find really interesting is I think I talked about this on TikTok, but when I've always thought of a two timeline team, it's always been like the prime thing that I think we all think of is the Golden State Warriors. They had their core of Draymond and Steph and Clay and Andre Iguodala, and that they had that core, and they got injured, and they started drafting young players, and they tried to like compete while bringing those players up, and that's been a two timeline team. And now this Wizards roster is completely flipping that on its head in taking a young core that's still developing in Coulibaly, in Trey Johnson, in Alex Sarr. They haven't been ready to contend yet, but since they make no money, they have now acquired a older core of more accomplished players that they were able to get at a bargain basement price. And now there's no pressure on the older players. There's only upside for the older players to work and with the younger players. And if it doesn't work out, it's fine. I mean, I just think it's a really interesting dichotomy.
Yeah, I think next year this team, to me, kind of projects as like a 6-7 seed-ish team.
Yeah.
But I do think all it's going to take is like Coulibaly has kind of, I feel like hasn't, at least from a statistic, I don't watch enough Wizards games, but statistically, it doesn't look like he's evolved much as a player. As a rookie, he shot 34% from three on low volume, and still low volume, but now he's like in the 20s the last two seasons. And I'm kind of wondering, like, if he can just get back to like 35% or 34 or 33, like just below average, can that be something that really elevates this Wizards team? If like Kaishan George, who's been awesome this year, can take one more micro step. It's like, can Bob Carrington maybe lift up the bench unit a bit? Like he's not, a world beater right now. There's a reason the Wizards are like the worst team in the league right now. They have some talent, but they're, young and underdeveloped. Can one of these guys take a non-linear advancement alongside Trey and AD joining the fold? I feel like that could really take this team up to like, oh wow, the Wizards are the 3 seed.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And Trey Johnson is another guy that I loved coming out of the draft. A guy that is just instant offense and is now insulated in a way that I think he'll really thrive from, of like, he doesn't have to do on the offensive side of the ball. He doesn't have to do any of the creation stuff. He can just focus on getting his points. And then on the defensive side of the ball, which is definitely where he's a little bit or a lot more raw, he has Anthony Davis and Alex Sarr behind him to clean up whatever like problems might arise, which I really like. And then this isn't even to mention like the Wizards have one of the worst records in the NBA. They still have their first round pick for this season. And, if you blink, they could add a Cam Boozer. They could add a Darren Peterson. They could add an AJ DeBanza, which completely changes their trajectory as a franchise altogether.
Yeah, DeBanza would be great here. I'm kind of excited about this team. I guess the weird thing that I can't shake is Trae Young an actual planned part of the team? Is Trae Young going to be on the team next year? Like, what is going to happen with Trae Young? I guess like I'm feeling pretty solid that we're going to see Anthony Davis suit up for the Wizards. I just don't know 100% if Trae Young is going to be on the team. Like, what do you? Yes, right?
Yes, yeah, I would say definitely. Everything that I've heard is that of the two, if one's getting extended, it's Trae Young. I mean, Trae Young, he's only 27 years old still. I mean, I think there's still a lot of juice to squeeze out of the Trae Young, orange, if you will. And I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see what he looks like in that infrastructure But it's also, to our conversation with the Jazz earlier, just kind of sickening that we're not going to see this at all until next season.
Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, I guess because Anthony Davis is out and there's really no reason to bring him back. I mean,
Yeah, and
yeah,
I guess Trae Young can't come back, or at least that's what we have been led to believe.
it's not allowed. All right, what about from the Mavericks side? I mean, I feel like this trade is like good for the Mavericks to kind of. I just feel like Anthony Davis, the stink of the Luka trade, it was never meant to be.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
I think the asset management between everything that happened was horrible. From Luka to this is a huge L, but the Mavericks are weirdly in a great spot because of how good Cooper Flag looks.
yeah, and I mean, the one question mark is like, what are they going to do with Kyrie now? I don't think at all that it's a situation where it's like you have to trade Kyrie Irving, but they have that flexibility. You know, if a team really wants to add a veteran guard like Kyrie, and Kyrie, I think he extended last offseason, and so he's not on like a one of those crazy like Anthony Davis like $40 million contracts. So I mean, I think that's kind of the most interesting wrinkle, but they are where they need to be now, in completely focused on the Cooper Flag timeline.
Yeah, I mean, if I was a Mavericks fan, I would be disappointed with the net proceeds of everything that came out about this. But at the same time, like, Cooper Flag is looking like the superstar he was supposed to be. I know maybe he didn't get off to the start, and you're a little bit like, come on, Cooper, how are you not this much better than Con Knipple? But Con Knipple's good. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like you got Max Christie, who's been pretty good next to Coop. Kyrie's old, though. I mean, we'll see what Kyrie
Yeah.
looks like. It seems like guys come back pretty strong in their mid-30s nowadays. And you've got Lively. He's had
Only
injuries.
33.
I just feel like the bones of a really good team are still here. It's just going to take about a year or two to wash it back into like year 3 Coop. Okay, now we're making our real push for a 6 seed. Although I think they could make the play in this year, to be honest.
Yeah, they definitely could. I mean, the bottom of the play-in race was really decided to take a step back in the Western Conference.
Yeah, and Coop is like picking it up quite a bit, but I don't know. We'll see.
Actually, Kyrie Irving makes more money than I thought he did. He next season he will make $39 million in his year 34 season, coming off a, what is it, Achilles or ACL?
Yeah, well, this is a brutal stretch for the Mavericks. They played the Lakers, the Red Hot Hornets, the Rockets, the Celtics, and the Spurs, and they lost all 5. But Cooper scored 16, 49, 34, 36, 32. So, I mean, 4 straight games of 30-plus as a rookie is really good.
Yeah, Cooper's been just, I mean, the whole race for the Rookie of the Year award, we got to talk about sometime soon, but has been about as good as it's been like in recent history. I mean, I know we had the Victor Chet year, but that was kind of like a just 2 guys thing. I feel like
that was a fake
it
debate.
was a fake debate.
As
but
we broke down many times when it was happening.
yes, this year there's just so many like legitimately great guys. Can we talk about our long national nightmare being over, James? Of Jonathan Kuminga is now off the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, I feel like that also, like, no, I feel like people, I mean, I feel like casuals don't even know who Jonathan Kuminga is, but it's also another one of those things where it's like blink twice and you miss it. But, yeah, finally, I was kind of like, Jonathan Kuminga is not good.
Can I say something, though? I hate this trade for the Warriors. Like, I think it makes them, like, way worse. So it's Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield for Kristaps Porzingis and a Lakers 2026 second round pick. And like, where, I don't know, what, do we not care about Steph Curry anymore? I get that there was like personality issues, but like just the wing position in general is just like so bleak in Golden State. And to replace him with a guy in Kristaps Porzingis who, like, for better or for worse, just cannot get on the floor at all, is dealing with this weird illness thing. I feel like they just punted on this season with this deal.
Well, Jimmy got hurt, so the season was always a punt. I will say that. I feel like Golden State is in a weird, unprecedented territory, though, and I will cut them some slack. Curry doesn't want to leave. They don't want to trade him for sentimental reasons. When we have this situation in the past with a Kobe Bryant or a Dirk Nowitzki, they're not good anymore. They're not leading they're not putting your team in a bind, right? The problem the Warriors have, and this is really unprecedented, is Steph is really fucking good and he makes a lot of money. So he pressures them into being a win now team, but realistically they should trade him. Like in any other situation, the player would have been traded, but it's this weird thing where he doesn't want to leave. They don't want to trade him for sentimental reasons, but this isn't 2016 Dirk. This is 2026 Steph, and he's still good. So I don't know what to do with the Warriors. Like truly the thing they need to do is trade him, but it's not going to happen. So I don't, do you feel that? I can't think of an analogous situation in NBA history to this.
Yeah, where I mean, I feel like we have to hit a button every time I say this, but it's just another thing with the new CBA. It's like in other situations, a team, no matter what, would be able to like throw more money at it with a legend of a franchise that's still at this level. And yeah, I mean, I think you're right. We have never really seen a situation like this. I mean, obviously Giannis is considerably younger than, or he's not that much younger than Steph, but I think it's kind of similar to that situation where it was just like the team went all in as much as they could, and it just didn't work out for one reason or another. Even though I will say I don't think the Warriors are as all in as the Bucks have went around
But the Warriors have
around
gone about
Giannis.
it more smartly. They haven't gone all in on a move that they know won't work.
Yeah. I mean, but I think there's two sides to that coin, though, in that I think they could have been a little bit more aggressive with it earlier in this life cycle. Like, the only reason they went out and traded for Jimmy Butler was because his like value had been diminished so greatly by what he did. They were finally like, okay, like we literally have to make this deal because we're just giving up nothing here. But I think they probably missed the boat on like capitalizing on Draymond's value, or I mean, they definitely missed the boat there. I think that's another thing that makes it harder is like up until 2 years ago, it wasn't just that, Steph was making whatever 40% of their salary sheet. It was Steph, Draymond, and Clay combined were making 80% of the salary that you had to go around, and it was even like more difficult to like figure out how to chop that up and make yourself into a more sustainable contender, even though you knew you had the runway with Steph. Like, he wasn't really diminishing in any way. It's a very tough situation.
I mean, the way I'm looking at it, just because, like, again, I don't want to repeat myself too much, but like Kobe was bad when he came back from the Achilles. He was a high usage, low efficiency guy. Dirk was not getting paid like a star. They were both assisting in their team's transition to the next era with their either lack of payment or play that was leading to losses. Like, I honestly don't. They have to trade him. Otherwise, like, just go sign Clay and just run it back and let the fans live out one or two more glory years of a team-wide farewell tour, and let them all retire together. Because otherwise, I don't understand what the point is. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
I mean, Paul Pierce, like, I think Celtics fans, I remember when Paul Pierce and KG got traded, they weren't bitter toward the Celtics. They were almost weirdly like, this is awesome for the Celtics that they were able to trade us for all this. It was like kind of weirdly pro Celtics as they became Nets, and I don't know, if you really love the Warriors, like, I feel like that's the path you got to go. I don't think anyone really views Paul Pierce as like a two-team guy.
Well, I think even like the other even more apt comparison that I would say is like Patriots fans weren't upset when the Patriots didn't make like a huge play for Tom Brady when he made it to free agency, because it was like he did everything that he could there, and the Patriots as a franchise were not in a position where they could, put the team that Tom Brady needed to, compete
Together.
around him. And I feel like that's kind of where we have arrived as for the Golden State Warriors.
They also traded Trace Jackson Davis for a second round pick.
Yeah, I don't get that. I mean, I guess I don't watch every Warriors game, but feels like he's more useful than a second round pick.
Yeah, I know you're gonna have to pay him soon because he's been on the team for 3 years, but your hope with a second round pick is to get someone like Trace Jackson Davis. Like that's like a high end outcome of a second round pick. So I don't know. I feel like this trade deadline broke my brain in terms of how his value. I also love the Hornets receiving 2 second round picks for cash. A lot of cash considerations. I know there's a recession coming up soon, it seems like, but
yeah, hey. All right, do you want to just there's one more trade that I feel like we need to kind of go long form on, and that is the Ivica Zubac to the Indiana Pacers deal. I freaking love this trade for the Indiana Pacers. They essentially traded 2 first-round picks, one of which being first-round
weird
pick
protections.
Yeah, one of it. So it's this year's first-round pick for 2026 Indiana Pacers first-round pick, but it is 1 through 4 protected and then 10 through 30 protected. And if it doesn't convey, I'm pretty sure this is true. You can check me in the comments if I'm wrong, but if it doesn't convey this year, it conveys is as an unprotected pick in 5 years, which I have never heard of anything like this ever before. But
I mean, what the Pacers like data forecasting team, like what they're cooking up in that computer lab that gave them like, okay, this is the thing. And I want to know what the Clippers like. They get the text or the email and they're like, what?
I know, yeah, that's why it took right up until the buzzer, because they were like just trying to figure out what the protections on that. Of course, they included Benedict Mathurin in that deal and Isaiah Jackson as well. But I mean, this is a team in Indiana that now has Halliburton, Nembhard, Siakam, Zubac, Toppin, all of their key rotation players from the finals run a year ago under contract for 2 or more seasons. They have a 52% chance of being in the top 4 for one of the most talented draft classes that we have ever seen. I mean, I just like, what is not to like in Indiana for the like just amazing GMing by Kevin Pritchard.
You know, I was watching some Tyrese Halliburton highlights the other day, and I was like, I miss watching Halliburton.
I do too.
Yeah,
I do too.
This was a great. Honestly, I like to trade for both teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think
I even like it for the Clippers. I don't know. I think I'm a little lower on Zubac than like the general public is. So maybe that's why I like it for the Clippers, because I think getting 2 firsts for him, especially when it does feel like you need to go into like 2017 Brooklyn Nets mode with everything that's happening with that franchise, where hey, we'll just take on more picks. You just take whatever you want. Like, give us your trash, give us picks. Not that Mathurin and Isaiah Jackson are trash. I think they're both decent, but again, they're just assets they can flip again. I just feel like the Clippers should be in total asset accumulation mode right now, and I kind of like this for them. I know tanking does nothing for them this year with the Thunder owning their pick, and like this could be a really bad thing for them if they just power up one of their key opponents over the next 10 years. But like, I don't know. I kind of would be like, this year is a lost cause. We're not going to go anywhere anyway. If we give them the 8th pick instead of the 12th pick, whatever.
So after this happened, someone texted me and said, so they are saying the Clippers are getting punished for all the Kawhi drama. What do you think about that conspiracy theory? And do you think that has to do with the destruction of the Clippers? Like, do you think right? Because all of the intel was after the All-Star break, the NBA expected to finish their investigation into Kawhi Leonard and the aspiration scandal. Is that what we're looking at right now? Are we looking at like a long suspension?
Think about it like this. If you're the Clippers and you have a hunch that Kawhi, who's been playing really well, is suspended the rest of the season, why keep James Harden? Why keep Zubac? Why keep any player who's not on a rookie deal? Like, what would be the point? I know you don't own your own pick, but what is the point of running out an actual dead season where you're not competing, you can't get a good draft pick? It's actually the most dead possible season. So I think it makes sense. Like, I think they're operating in a way that makes sense. If Kawhi does or doesn't get suspended, because you weren't going to win the title this year. I think they just knew it.
Yeah. I mean, they have been damn good, but yeah, they're not gonna win the title. Just interesting.
I don't know, Patrick. The first year we did this podcast, me and you were like Nostradamus. Like we were calling everything out. We landed. I think I called the Mavs like being like a really. I know I didn't pick them in every series that year, but I remember when they made that Gafford trade, and I was like, watch out, like here they come. And then I feel like this year, everything I've said, it's like it happens for a week and then the clocks turn. So maybe they are going to the finals.
Hey, I listen to a lot of podcasts, James. I don't think it's just been us. This season has been a very unpredictable. I mean, hell, Joel Embiid is back. We haven't even discussed that. I mean,
I think my three huge misses was, and everyone knows I've been the biggest Embiid fan on the internet for like 10 years. I kind of wrote him off. I wrote the Hornets and LaMelo off, and I wrote the Thunder on to break the wins record. Those were three things I'm pretty sure I said last time me and you chatted, and all three have got horribly wrong. So I'm gonna own my misses here.
Yes, I mean, hey, I was right there with you with the Thunder thing. I think I was holding on for dear life on the LaMelo train, and then the second I let go, he's back. And then, what do you think about the Jared McCain move?
Okay, so I haven't gone this deep into the JE files, but there's a little bit of a Jeffrey connection on this one. Apparently, Sixers and Commanders owner Harris is in the files. I don't know to what degree. It doesn't seem like it's the super bad stuff, but I just know he's in the. There's a lot of people in the emails doing stuff like Russell Wilson wanted to buy a plane, not accused of any wrongdoing, but. They're saying, and I think the reason people are bringing up his appearance in the files is Sixers fans think this is about money. It's all about money. It's all about not having to pay the luxury tax. It's not even about the apron. It's just about the financial aspect. That's what Sixers fans are saying. They seem really pissed off. Everyone I'm reading seems pissed off about it. So I don't know.
I think it's about the fact that VJ Edgecombe is a fucking badass. And Jared McCain is never going to see the light of day in that guard rotation as long as Maxey, Grimes, and VJ Edgecombe are all healthy. And they thought, well, hell, let's get a first-round pick, because why not?
What is the pick again? Sorry, I don't have it right.
It is the I think it's going to be the Rockets' first-round pick. Not a great first-round pick, but a first-round pick. I mean, I think if you would have asked, and I will say Jalen Brunson showed a lot more on the Mavericks than Jared McCain showed on the 76ers. But if you would have asked the Mavericks if they would be okay with a late first-round pick as compensation for Jalen Brunson, they would have taken it. So I think it's nice. Jared McCain just screamed like second team guy for me after all the developments of this season.
I guess I don't like the trade, and the main reason I don't like this trade is because if you're the Sixers, like there will be a time in the next year and a half where one of those three guys misses time, and you're going to have time for him after he rehabilitates himself from whatever the injury was last year that has caused him to play most of this year in the G League. So I don't know. I just feel like it's a weird sell low move.
Yeah. I mean, sell low. I just feel like I don't know if it's a sell low move or a sell high move yet.
That's true. It could be a sell high. My thought is the pick you used to pick McCain is higher than the pick you will get from Houston. and McCain hit the value proposition, at least his first year, of the pick he was slotted in.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, I feel like he was better than that.
Yeah, he exceeded it. So I don't know. That's where I'm a little bit like, I don't know if I would want to re-roll the dice when I already hit the number I got when I wanted.
Yeah, we will see. Vucevic in Boston.
I don't. Do you like it? I guess I like it.
I like it.
I don't know. I wonder if he's gonna play a lot. I feel like Keita is still gonna start.
Yeah, I mean, I think Garza was kind of a like fake, like regular season good for them. And if they have Tatum coming back, like he is kind of, I think he can do pretty much everything Kristaps did on the offensive side of the ball when Kristaps was right. And so it just gives them more optionality and like another adult in the room that I think should mesh in well. I mean, I'll tell you one thing that's changed since we talked last time. I have definitely come to grips with the fact that there's a very real world that the Boston Celtics could be in the NBA Finals this season.
I think so too. You know, I'm so mad at myself. I was so high on Boston. I was like, I feel like the Celtics are not going to suck. And then everyone's like, oh, dude, look at the roster. Look at the bigs. And I was like, I don't know. There's something about the Celtics, though. They're like, they never suck. They're like the Spurs.
They never suck. Yeah.
They never suck. The Celtics never suck. Yeah, I don't know. I guess my concern, and it's not really a concern because I don't think Boston is like declined in any way. I'm wondering if Vooch gets less minutes and less run than we all think, because I do think because of the volume of 3-point shooting this team has, it is just nice having a Garza type guy like being around the paint.
Yeah.
I just think there is some benefit weirdly from these like quote unquote low skill bigs who just hang around the rim. Like I think those guys are really valuable to teams that are constructed like the Celtics who are like running and gunning.
Vooch isn't a terrible rebounder though.
Yeah. I just think you get a little bit more value from Vooch when he's out in the perimeter, like spacing out for your guys. But I mean, hey, it's kind of, I mean, the Celtics were awesome with Horford too. So I might just be a little bit of a hater. You know what? I'm just being a hater. The Celtics are good. They never suck. The Celtics don't make bad trades. The Celtics never suck.
They never suck.
This is the rule of the NBA. The Celtics will always be a dominant team.
Write it in the stone.
Celtics fans for being a little pessimistic. No, the Celtics are awesome. This is going to work out for them.
GTA in New York, Grand Theft Alvarado.
Grand Theft Alvarado. Yeah, I like that for another scrappy guy. Him and Josh Hart and Mitchell Robinson together is going to be the most annoying lineup to play against in the league.
It's just such vibes. It's just such vibes. He's from New York, I think. I don't know what's not to like. 2 second-round picks. Thank you. I'll take Alvarado. I mean, he's not great, but I mean, he's Alvarado. He's one of the guys. Can I just say something that I've been thinking about a lot recently because of the Dillon Brooks experience on the Suns? When a superstar is on the floor in the NBA, he gets a certain amount of attention and a certain amount of the energy on the floor gravitates towards him. There's certain guys in the NBA like Dillon Brooks, like Jose Alvarado, where they maybe can't produce statistically in that way, but for spurts of time, they are the main character on the floor. And I think there is an innate value in that. And that can flip on its head too, just like a superstar. If a superstar is like really inefficient and like is turning the ball over all the time, then that's bad for your team. But I don't know, just something I've been workshopping, something to keep main character energy on the basketball
streak on the court. It's just not in the way of making consecutive buckets. No, I know what you mean. Like when Jose can just steal a ball, create a steal out of nowhere, that's a huge value add.
Yeah, and it was just, I don't know, he was such a force in his playoff minutes against the Suns. The one time he was in the playoffs, like he was just a guy that like the other team had to be so cognizant of when he was on the floor that I think like even if it is for 15 minutes, that's a win for the Knicks of just like 15 minutes where it's like, okay, I'm thinking about Cat, I'm thinking about Jalen Brunson, as I always am, but I'm also thinking about that motherfucker over there who is hunched in the corner of the court.
And Josh Hart and Mitchell Robinson.
Exactly.
Okay, I guess we should probably talk about the Bulls and some of these other small trades, but can we talk about the non-trade from Milwaukee?
Yes, we probably should.
And the Timberwolves seeming like they really, really wanted this to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I it's hard to even like wrap our head around it because the news was coming out like so quickly throughout the week, but there was the story in I think some Milwaukee paper where Giannis was talking about how he wanted to spend the rest of his career, or he in his heart he imagined him spending the rest of his career and winning a championship in Milwaukee. But then at like the end of that article, he talks about how he's not sure if the front office wants the same thing. And then after not being traded, he tweets the Wolf of Wall Street meme where he's not fucking going. And I don't know. And
I think Giannis thinks he's a lot funnier than he actually is.
Oh, 100. I mean, guys that are that confident always do. But now he's just going to be okay with sitting out for the rest of the season, I guess. Like, is that what's happening? They suck.
I would want my team to trade for Giannis at this point.
Right? I mean, there was a leak that I saw of some front office players saying like, front office members saying like, we were nervous about the idea of trading for Giannis because his ego is so big. We're not sure he can be a number two to our already established star, which I mean, I think is a fair thing.
I saw Zach Lowe did a breakdown of one of his post-game quotes was about how guys are not moving the ball enough, et cetera, and it's like people went through it and it's like the Bucks are actually one of the better like swing passing teams and better ball movement teams in the league, and Giannis's usage rate I think is in the top. Him or Luka is top of the league right now, so
yeah, he is.
It does seem like he's gotten in a weird place.
So if the Bucks win, so the Bucks have their swap with the Pelicans. So they could at best get the second pick in the draft. Let's say they get the second pick in the draft. Like that would be insane, but we've seen crazier things happen in the NBA. What should they do with that pick?
Use it.
Right? They should use it, but I'm like, what do you think Giannis wants them to do with that pick?
They should just. I mean, I don't know. I don't really understand Giannis's value. Really, like if Jaren just went for like 3 first-round picks, does Giannis go for 5? Like, is that even possible? Like, who could trade for Giannis? Is Lowry like I'm gonna keep going back to Larry Markkinen? Like, I don't even understand Giannis in that team if you traded Markkinen for him. I guess I don't really understand the team for Giannis. Truly, the only star pairing that has ever really made sense to me is Steph, and it seems like that bridge burned down a couple days ago. So I don't know. I really don't know
the one
what to do
team
with
for me that I feel still makes sense for Giannis is Houston, but I don't think that they would make the trade for Giannis that they would need to actually make it work with Giannis. Like, I think a Giannis, Şengün, and like with like wing defenders and guards, that makes sense to me. That's like we've seen Giannis work kind of in something similar to that before, but I feel like they would end up trading Şengün, and then they just would not have enough like skill with the ball outside of Giannis. I don't believe in the Thompson Giannis fit. Like, I think that would be a freaking train wreck. But yeah,
I don't like it for Houston.
Very
I'm
weird
gonna be
situation.
honest. I don't like it for Houston.
I just think Şengün is skilled enough to where that like pick and roll would be absolutely devastating with Kevin Durant on the side. Like, I don't know.
I'll give you one team. If Jalen Williams kind of continues to flutter this year and the Thunder have like an unexpected second round exit, like I do think a J-Dub for Giannis is a fit with the Thunder that makes sense, a reset for the Bucks that makes sense. Like, I don't know.
Well, I'm not trading Jalen Williams for Giannis. Me personally, I mean, I like the idea of Giannis being on the Thunder. I think that makes a lot of sense, especially with their competition in the West. But if I'm the Thunder, I want Giannis, I'm calling him up and I'm saying, hey, like, we can give you Hartenstein, we can give you like Lou Dort, and we'll give you as many picks as you want, and we'll give you Clippers picks, but that's it. And you can have the most pick-heavy return in NBA history for Giannis. That's what you can go to your fans with. But I'm keeping J-Dub. I'm keeping Shea. I'm going to have to go in the second apron for this. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah. And then I guess there's the Knicks Cat Center trade as well, but I would not want that if I'm Milwaukee.
No, I wouldn't want that either. And I don't know. The weird thing about that too is like, I don't know. So their lineup ends up being like Brunson, Robinson, Giannis, OG, and McHale. I mean, that's pretty nasty. Yeah, I mean, it's just
sorry.
It's just not enough. It's just not enough for Giannis. Maybe this is just Steph 2.0.
Yeah,
Steph big man version.
Steph 2.0. It could just be Steph 2.0. I don't know.
AJ DeBanza and Giannis are going to win the championship next year because we were so mean to them.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to do this, but if Kevin Durant never stepped on that line, like, what do we think of Giannis, his career?
Yeah, that's true.
I know every single championship team has a moment where you could probably nitpick and give a red flag, but I mean, Milwaukee very clearly felt like the not as good team as the Brooklyn Nets that year, and the Nets were just injured. I don't know. I do think back to that a lot when I think about like the trajectory of this Bucks franchise. Like, I don't know if they ever were the best team in the NBA.
You can say the same thing though with the next year. I think that, what was that?
The Warriors.
Like, they could have easily won that series against Boston. Like, I don't know if we've ever seen Giannis look as good as he did in that series, but his team just crumbled around him. That's like, if Chris Middleton stayed healthy in that, if peak Drew, like, and they get to that finals against the Warriors, like, I gotta think they're absolutely dispatching.
Maybe. Or Giannis doesn't look the same when he has less usage, though. I mean, that's another thing to factor in. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I don't know. There's something about that Brooklyn series always left a weird, like, I just wanted to see those. That team was fun before they fell apart.
Yeah, they were.
Okay, anything else you want to hit on the trade deadline, or?
I mean, I think we kind of mentioned them, but the Timberwolves, like, Io is, I think, a good pickup for them. He's kind of having a career year.
Yeah, I think getting him for Dillingham is an amazing swing.
Mm-hmm. Did you see that? What's his name? Mike Conley's coming back.
I did. So Patrick and I record with this software, and because we are, getting used to this again, we couldn't hear each other. And the first thing I tried to sell you was, what? So Conley got traded, and now he's coming back to the Timberwolves? I guess he just...
So it wouldn't have...
Like Adam Silver? Hello? I don't know.
So it would not have been legal for Mike Conley to come back if he hadn't been traded twice.
Twice, yeah. Because now it's not his previous team.
Now it's not his previous team. I mean, I guess he's going to come on a minimum. And I mean, I love it for Mike Conley. You don't have to move, man.
Do you think that was always the plan?
No, I don't think so. Because how can you plan that?
I mean, you just tell the team you trade Conley to the first time, like, hey, you want to move? Can we coordinate us? Can we, instead of making this a 3-team deal, can we coordinate this as 2 separate transactions?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you could, but also, I gotta say, I don't care too much because Mike Conley has been so rough this season that I'm like, hey, man, like, whatever you need. Lakers thoughts? Luke Kennard? Is he going to flip it around for them?
One-way guy.
They needed another
one-way guy.
White guy?
Just another one-way guy. That's the problem. I mean, I mean, the Lakers also are in this weird thing where they can never have their big... This is the other weird thing about the Lakers. They haven't had the 3 guys together at, like, other than, like, 1 or 2 games. Because Luka actually... They had them all 3 together last night, and Luka left after, like, 10 minutes. And he's now day-to-day with a hamstring.
I have been banting about a thought with the Lakers of... This is actually a pro-Lakers thought. For LeBron's whole career, he's always had... I mean, maybe not, like, first in Cleveland or Miami, but, like, since he came back to Cleveland the second time, he always... like kind of disappointed in the regular season, but was able to crank it up in the playoffs and in like late game, like must win situations. Is that not like just, is the Lakers this season not just like a larger version of that? Like these Lakers, if you look at them for like just any random like 10 possessions, you're like, what the fuck is this team? But they have this gear that like really is a very rare gear to have in the NBA of they just win the game. They just win the game no matter what. And
they've been winning a lot. I mean, this is what we so Patrick and I had this discussion and you brought up an amazing point. I was like, why do people talk about the Lakers like they're an absolute train wreck when they are good? Like they are like the 4 seed or the 5 seed most of the season. And you brought up a great point that they win the game and then JJ Redick is like, we're terrible.
Yeah, that too. Because, and you know, people just don't watch. They don't watch the game. They watch the press conference clip of the really attractive coach like complaining that they're not good enough.
I will say this. I'm feeling kind of doom and gloom. I have a hard time seeing them beating some of these bigger teams, like in better Western teams. But LeBron is starting to look really... Like last year, LeBron had a legit push for that All-NBA second team, All-NBA first team at times. He's starting to look like that physically again. In that game against the Sixers last night, he had like 5 dunks. And one of them was like a really poorly thrown lob contested, and he still yammed it down, like reverse. I don't know. My issue with them, and as a big Luka fan, is I think Luka really has to just let LeBron and Reeves cook more. Because I just feel like they keep running into this pattern I'm seeing is Luka shoots a lot, which, again, he's great, but the other team is clearly not caring about their offensive efficiency if it means we can just wear Luka down so that we enter the fourth quarter and Luka's tired. And I just feel like a better flow for the Lakers is let LeBron cook early and let Luka cook late, and they kind of seem to keep going the other way, where it's like Luka cooks early, LeBron cooks late. Like maybe I'll do this for our next episode. Is their usage rate by quarter? Because I would guess Luka's is spiked. Last night, Luka played 10 minutes. He took 10 shots.
What a guy. That's so Luka. Yeah, I mean, I'm praying to the gods for a Suns Lakers 3-6 or Suns Lakers 4-5. And that's, you know, says more about the other teams that are the options than even I think it does the Lakers. But yeah, it's just going to be so interesting. Their point differential has finally reached positive though. So there's people can't say that about the Lakers anymore.
I think the Lakers are going to finish as the 4 seed. That's my guess. I think they're going to pass Houston.
Don't they have like a really hard finish to the season though?
They just did really good on their like annual super long road trip. Let's see. The Lakers, they do. This is how they close the season, to your point. Cleveland at home, at OKC, at Dallas versus OKC, Golden State, Phoenix. I don't know. Actually, they don't really have a hard stretch anymore. They're through the hard stretch.
They have the
Back-to-back
fifth
Houston.
toughest remaining schedule. But when you look at the other teams that are competing, Suns have the eighth hardest competing or rest of the schedule. Timberwolves have the 13th, and then the Rockets have the 20th hardest schedule. For the
I'm
rest
looking
of the
at
season.
it. They've got the Warriors. They've got OKC and the Spurs. Those are probably 2 losses, and then they've got the Mavs. They've got the Clippers, the Celtics, and again, this is the weird thing about the Lakers is if you would only listen to everyone's podcast, you'd be like, well, Celtics is an incredibly hard game. They have like the same record as the Celtics, and they play in a harder conference. Like I honestly think they're probably a better team, straight up, given the average teams they're playing. I don't know.
We need to reseed the playoffs.
Disagree.
We need to reseed the playoffs.
You just want the Suns in the play-in.
I want the Suns out of the
playoff.
play-in. Yeah.
Well, I gotta say, speaking of forecasting a bit, I kind of like the way the top 6 of the East is rounding into form. I don't know if they're all world beaters, but like, I don't know. The Sixers are good. Like the Raptors are going like long win streaks, long meh streaks. It kind of feels like. I know they're 6-4 in their last 10. Cavs, I think we all think are going to keep rounding into form. Pistons are awesome, untalked about. Knicks are good. Celtics are good. I don't know. Top 6 is kind of nice.
I mean, if we get like a Detroit, Miami first round matchup, New York, Orlando, Boston, Philadelphia, and then Cleveland, Toronto, that's some good basketball for a first round in the Eastern Conference.
Which Eastern team is the Hornets hoping to play when they win the play-in tournament? Because they're not going to catch Philly, I don't think. I do think they can catch Orlando at 7.
I mean, I think, and this is Detroit fans are going to hate me here, but I think that they should be hoping that they play Detroit in the first round
and try to go like full Pacers, like just run.
Exactly. Just run, try to outscore them, because Detroit, their defense is fucking awesome, but their offense can get stuck in the mud so much sometimes that, like, I mean, I don't think the Hornets would be successful in doing this, but there's a world where they can have like a really tough 6-game series against them because they're just scoring their brains off.
The Hornets are good.
Yeah, no, they're exciting. Yeah, we didn't even talk about the Kobe White trade. I mean, that's just like the luxury to have Kobe White being your 6th man. That's very nice.
Yeah.
I mean, to steal a Bill Simmonsism, like, that's not happening in 2003. You know, there's no team in the league in 2003 where Kobe White is coming off someone's bench.
No, for sure. Well, you know who I always used as my example guy of like, this just shows how good the league is, and I did this 10 years ago, is like, when it was like 2017, I was like, the fact that CJ McCollum, like peak CJ with the Blazers, I was like, the fact that this guy will never sniff an all-star team just really goes to show how much better the NBA is than it was in the early 2000s. Like, if you put CJ McCollum in like 2002, the guy's going to be a fucking animal.
Yeah, no, his number's getting retired on some team if he's playing in 2002.
I'm not saying CJ is as good as Joe Johnson. Joe Johnson was really good in that era, but like he is, a tier below that in terms.
I mean,
of, like,
their
efficiency
numbers.
and scoring.
Yeah, their numbers can't be that different.
Yeah,
of their peak.
Okay, one more team I want to touch on other than the Kings. Just look, Kings.
Kangs are back.
the Pelicans, this is like the 5th year in a row. The Pelicans have like 8 guys everybody wants on their team. Everybody wants Trey Murphy. Everybody wants Herb Jones. Everybody wants their players. And somehow they suck. And everyone wants their players. And somehow their players don't get moved. I don't get it.
I mean, they leaked it themselves. They feel that their roster can compete. Yeah, I don't know.
40. How I don't understand how they're so bad.
Because they're always injured and there's no continuity, and they fired their coach like a week into the season, and I don't know. Like DeJounte Murray has not played, and he makes a bunch of money for them. Zion is like the problem with sports, to be honest. You see so many Zion attacking the rim TikToks and stuff, where like in reality it's like it just has no bearing on what actually happened in the game. And like he's good, he's fine, but it's just like they're an unserious team, I think, is just what it is.
Can I close our actual basketball talk before Hot Streak shooting slump on a weird Zion stat that I've just uncovered? This shows how little Pelicans I'm watching, and this is why I maybe don't understand why they're bad, because I just don't watch them.
Yes, please.
Zion came off the bench 7 times this year?
Zion did come off the bench, I guess. I don't know.
What?
I don't
This is
know.
the first time in his career he didn't start every game he played.
I mean, they started 2-14. I think everyone should get a pass for not watching the Pelicans.
They've maintained a 2-14 start.
Yeah. Okay. Now it's time for Hot Streak Shooting Slump. This time in the program where we talk about our last 7 days and determine if we ourselves are on a hot streak or if we are on a shooting slump. James, are you on a hot streak or are you on a shooting slump?
I'm going to go with a slump, Patrick. This is, as I mentioned from the beginning, I've been fostering a dog. Here, I'll show you. This is Peach.
Oh, hello, Peach.
Yeah,
She's
Peach
cute.
Is a troublemaker. She has no body training whatsoever. She's very cute,
you
very
can
loving,
tell.
Very sweet.
There's nothing going on upstairs for Peach.
No, not a lot going on. Well, no, I actually finally had time to do some training with her, and she caught on quick, so Peach knows sit now. Big moves for Peach.
Big moves.
Getting somewhere, Peach.
Slap that on the resume.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I've just had a lot thrown at me this week. Just a lot. I did some PT yesterday, and the PT guy was like, "Your back is so unbelievably stiff." So now I'm gonna try to get my back to not be all messed up, because yeah, it hurt. Every time we did a new stretch, it was so painful. But I don't know. I feel like I have this weird, I don't know if it's a mental resistance, but I feel like the worse, in terms of the more stuff that gets thrown on my plate and the more that I have to do for life, it's I almost kind of helps me put into perspective that things are pretty good in general. So I'll say hot streak, mindset, shooting slump, reality.
There we go. Hot streak mindset. That's a good place to be. Let's see. So I will say I'm in a bit of a shooting slump, only because I am staring down a vacation just straight in the eyes. Next week, next Tuesday morning, I will be on a flight to Hawaii for the first time to celebrate one of my oldest friends getting married. And I am just in that, I so desperately want to be there already, but work has just continued to overfill. I have a bucket that is just being filled with water, and then the whole room is filled with water is what it feels like. But I mean, all good things to have. It's good to be busy. Also, trade deadline week. I mean, you know me. It's one of my favorite weeks of the year. So that was good. I'm very happy to be doing this, be back on the mics. I promise, guys, we are going to get better. This was a rough start to the year. We had a dry January in terms of recording, but we are back. We are back on the horse. We are drinking the bottle. Don't worry. we will be here with you for the rest of the year.
What is your Super Bowl pick?
I mean, my head, I'm thinking the Seahawks should win easily, but I've talked about it many times on this program before. I grew up a very bandwagon Patriots fan. I've got this little dog wearing this Patriots button. I even have, when I went home last summer and moved out my parents, I took a bunch of my Patriots gear. I've got this 2000 this very cursed button.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah. But it was in Arizona.
Patrick is holding up a 2007 season Patriots Super Bowl.
AFC championship button.
Oh, it's AFC.
Yes, AFC championship button. Very cursed.
And
so
where did you acquire that in Phoenix?
I acquired it at the Super Bowl experience because the Super Bowl was in Glendale, Arizona.
In Phoenix that year. I do remember that.
Yes. So I remember crying very real tears when the Patriots lost that game. And I'm sure you cried very real tears for the opposite reason.
You know what's funny though about sports is I became a much more invested fan later. So that second Super Bowl was so much more meaningful to me because it's when I was a fully invested fan.
Okay, yeah, it took the first Super Bowl,
around, but the second one I was a hardcore fan. And I was like, "Wow, this is awesome!" And then,
no, rough week and a half for the Giants faithful for sure.
It's been bad.
Epstein shout out
ownership. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot more. I feel like, hopefully Giants get a new owner. Also, Giants hired Matt Nagy as OC. I know we're going way off topic, but I kind of killed all my optimism for next year. I'm not going to lie.
Really?
Yeah, I think I honestly I texted my friend, is hiring Matt Nagy a fireable offense?
Didn't they just are you on a new GM as well?
No, same GM.
No, same GM.
But this is a Harbaugh thing, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Blame's got to go where Harbaugh's officially on my I don't know. I'm now anti-Harbaugh, but we'll see. Hopefully
it's always scary in any sports situation when you are the rebound for the legend. That's I feel like Arizona sports is very guilty of doing that a lot of hey, Emmitt Smith, you know where your final act should be? Arizona. Cardinals, baby. And because it just doesn't work 95% of the time, but who knows? Any takes on the Bill Belichick not making the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I don't like.
Are you a Spygate truther?
No, I think it discredits the entire Hall of Fame, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely discredits the process. The thing I like about the NFL Hall of Fame is that they have the cap on how many people can make it every year. I think that especially for a sport that has so many different positions, they do a pretty good job of putting only people that really deserve it in. But yeah, what's more of a first ballot Hall of Famer than Bill Belichick? Especially when now we're risking him and Jordan Woods potentially breaking up before he makes it, which would be just the biggest travesty of all travesties.
Poor Bill. I mean, I will say this did rally everybody to his defense, but truly, I do think this is a really black stain on the NFL Hall of Fame. I don't know. It does call into question every single voter. It's such a glaring omission to the point where you can't do this, but it almost does feel like if you didn't vote for him, your vote should be rescinded. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, this would be if Phil Jackson was not, or Michael Jordan. I truly this is if LeBron James wasn't, someone was I didn't like the decision, so LeBron is not in the Hall of Fame.
It's hard to even come up with an analogy because it's so glaring. It would be like, I don't know, Bill Russell not making the Hall of Fame on his first opportunity or something.
I feel like to put it in basketball terms for people who don't follow as much football, like imagine there is Mike D'Antoni. There's a version of Mike D'Antoni where he is the architect of the Bulls offense. So he wins 2 championships as an assistant coach, creating a legendary offense. Then he goes to the Charlotte Hornets and he makes them a consistent playoff team. Then he goes to the Celtics and wins like 6 championships over the course of like 18 years. And a large part of the reason they win is because he is just constantly innovating his game plan. And then when the team legend retires, he makes the playoffs again. Like, I don't know if that is like an insane career.
Yeah, it's like if I don't know. It's like, I guess, if Larry Brown won 6 championships with the like '04 Pistons squad. I feel like I don't know. I mean I know that kind of discredits Tom Brady, but football is so different in the sense.
I feel like the thing that it's like so hard too for, I feel like this is one thing I always try to stress with new football fans. Like, everyone talks about the head coach, the assistant coaches, the coordinators are arguably more important than the head coach. And like Bill Belichick was the coordinator for 2 Super Bowl teams.
And when he, like, on the flip side of that, throughout Bill Belichick's reign as head coach of the Patriots, his assistant coaches were constantly getting hired to be head coaches elsewhere.
And they were horrible.
And the Patriots didn't miss a beat without them.
And he was like quasi GM of the Patriots the entire time. So he was the one building the roster.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like almost like if Jerry West was the head coach of the 80s Lakers and the GM instead of Pat Riley. I don't know. It's crazy. It's been such a weird week for like 2000s Patriots fans because there's all that happening. And then did you see the whole Tom Brady thing?
What happened?
Someone asked Tom Brady who he was cheering for in the Super Bowl, and he said, "I don't have a dog in the fight," which is crazy.
He's positioning himself as like a neutral, I think. Because
I guess.
Stuff. That's bad.
Oh my God. If I was like, because I feel like I grew out of my Patriots fandom. I realized I was more of a Tom Brady fan than I was like of the Patriots. But if that was like Steve Nash and the Suns were in the finals and he was like, "I don't have a dog in the fight," I would want to blow my brains out. Like, that would be the worst thing I could ever imagine.
You know, one thing I did want to do, because I think we talked about this in the pod once, but I want to do like GOATs for each franchise, but you can't only consider them as a player. Like, why Jerry West, I think, is the Lakers GOAT when you consider his time as an executive.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you really want to have a podcast where we talk shit about Magic Johnson?
Oh, I'd love that. But like, I know Danny Ainge didn't win that many rings as an executive with the Celtics. But if all rings are equal, like a role player drafted in 1963 for some random team who won multiple chips as a GM could be the GOAT for that franchise. Like, that could have actually been the best draft pick they ever made.
Yeah, I mean, the Suns have a really interesting argument for that one because Paul Westphal was our best player the first time we made the finals, and then he was our head coach the second time we made the finals. But yeah, there's a bunch of, especially with the NBA, it was like in the like 60s, 70s, 80s, it was like if you were a great player on that team, you're going to be working like as their head coach and in their front office in at least for a couple of years for the rest of time.
I'll give you another one. This is a football one, but Ozzie Newsome, I think football fans know, he was the GM of the Baltimore Ravens over the course of their 2 Super Bowls and stuff. He played for the, at the time, Browns, who were the same franchise as the Ravens. And he was a pretty good player for them for a 12-year career, which back in the 78 is pretty good.
Ditka, John Madden.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you draft a guy in 1978 who ends up being like a role player, a high-level role player. Then he ends up being the best executive ever, and the only reason he's the executive for your team is because you drafted him 20 years earlier.
Yeah. Oh man, you know who could really use Steve Kerr is the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah. Well, I guess we didn't even talk. Well, we'll save Steve Kerr. Patrick, you got to go to work. I gotta clean my house so it stops smelling like new dog. But yeah.
All right, that's been us. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let us know what you want to talk about. Make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.